Well, let's create cables which come out and attach to the hands, and some of them loop back into the body. They carry energy from the body to the hand or help to energy flow. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but that's the idea. On the front view, switch to wireframe mode, then go to the Create menu and in Curve tool, select CV Curve tool. We start inside and place our point until we reach the hand joint. I try to make the curve match the reference. Don't worry too much, it's okay if it's not perfect right now. We can always tweak it later, edit it. Okay, the next cable, create the next one. Now right click and choose control vertex so we can edit the shape of the curves. Alright, the last cable, we try to get roughly the same shape as the reference. Roughly that's enough. You can also drop your reference image under your work to make it easier and more precise. If you go to the View menu next to your document view, open image plane and hit Import image, you can bring it your reference in any view you're working in. By this way, you can stay accurate, but be careful. The robot in this view is a little angled upward, so don't stress too much. As long as the forms are close, it's enough. That's fine. Edit vertices a bit. The important thing is to end up with a good result. There is really no need to create something exactly like the sketch. This part of the work can be like a sketch. Of course, sometimes, yeah, if a client wants this concept exactly, we have to make it exactly as they want. For now, if it's just a personal work, free piece, what really matters is getting a quality output. Sometimes we even take inspiration from sketches to create something completely new. That happens to me a lot in my work. For example, something accidental happens, make a wrong save, draw something wrongly, and suddenly a cool idea comes out of it. And I see it and think, wow, this is awesome. And then I expand it, refine it, and get a solid final piece from it. Okay, let's get back to the process. Check from different angles to see if the placement works well. Select it, go to the Generate menu, choose Curve Utilities and hit Attach Brush to Curve. Now on the right in the Attribute Editor, we have the Stroke Shape window. First, there is Display Quality, which determines how much actual geometry is produced. Display quality controls how smooth and round the tube is. Higher values produce more faces and segments, making it tighter and smoother. Lower values make it simpler and more polygonal. Next is sample density. The higher this is, the more points we have along the curve, so the path is smoother and more accurate. but it also becomes heavier to calculate. So these two are different. Display quality controls the shape of the tube, how round or polygonal it is basically. Sample density controls how many points are created along the curve, so it affects smoothness along the path. Now let's go to the default brush window and reduce the global scale a bit because we want a thinner tube. Then increase the density a little. Select two more curves. Go again to Generate, Curve Utilities, attach brush to curve. Reduce their thickness. Now we select three strokes, go to the Modify menu, Convert, Paint Effect to Polygon. Make sure the output is quad and hit Apply. Next, select the tube inside the group, press G to group them, delete any empty groups, assign a new material, and add a Lambert shader. When we hide the strokes, we can see the tubes clearly. Alright, our robot is almost finished. Just a couple of small parts left to add. First, add a cylinder, reduce its subdivision, set it to 10. Then add an edge loop to the top. Do the same for the bottom. And delete the unnecessary faces here. Now if I double click, it selects all faces, so can tilt it as needed. Do the same for the top and scale it down a bit. Since the pivot is centered, make a copy. This way we'll have it for reference. Rotate it 90 degrees. So the pipe at the back is positioned correctly. I'm not exactly sure what it's for. Maybe a connection point for a cable. Try to make it angle relative to the body. It should be roughly perpendicular to the cylinder. Give it a bit of thickness. Double click, select all faces, and in the mesh display menu, reverse faces. Turn isolate mode on. Go to mesh tool, open insert edge loop window. In setting, switch it to multiple mode. I think 5 is enough here. Also 5 for inner shell. Ctrl D, make a copy. Delete all parts except inner shell. Flip normals. Ctrl R, scale it down a bit. Delete one row of faces. Ctrl E, extrude it in. Inverse faces. Press key 3 in order to see smooth version. Select edges that need support edge loop. And Ctrl B to bevel them. Put segment as usual to number 2. Do the same process for inner cylinder. Turn on the source one, move it to the top. Rotate it. Add edges. Select top edges and with Ctrl R, close them together. Add thickness. Reverse the faces. Switch to isolate mode. Select edges. In Ctrl B, bevel them. Now check from different angles. As you can see, there is distance here. And also inner part needs some edge loops. Select edges here, Ctrl R, and close them together. Let's see in wireframe mode. Ctrl with W and move this line up. It doesn't look good. We should decrease the thickness here. Ctrl R and open it. Yes, now it's look good. Well, in compared to concept, the upper part need to become bigger. First, let's make the group with Ctrl G. Control R and scale them up. Here need an edge loop. At the end, the important thing is to end up with a good result. There is really no need to stress. Of course, sometimes, if a client wants this concept exactly, we have to make it exactly as they want. But for now, if it's just a sketch or a personal free piece, what really matters is getting a quality output. Sometimes we even take inspiration from sketches to create something completely new, which that happens to me a lot in my work. For example, something accidental happens and I make a wrong save, I draw something, and suddenly a cool idea comes out of it. I see it and think, wow, this is awesome. And then I expand it, refine it, and eventually get a solid final piece from it. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed modeling.